Good morning. You've heard that this year, 2018, we are celebrating 100 years of teaching science of mind, which is a wonderful thing to celebrate indeed. Yeah. And today's topic comes from the book that we are using the entire year, Living the Science of Mind. And the topic is using the science of mind. Perhaps a better way to say that is how to use the creative power that we have to bring more joy, more wholeness, more connection, more goodness, more kindness into expression rather than use it for any other purpose. Because it's all possible to bring forward. But just because something is possible to bring forward doesn't necessarily mean that it's beneficial. Have you ever created a mess out of things in life? Nobody? You know, through poor choices, maybe nothing like overtly wrongdoing, just uninformed, maybe good intention. No? Yeah. Well, science of mind holds that whatever power that we used to do that, we can use the same power to do something else, something different. In fact, our founder, Ernest Holmes, apparently he used to say, what thought has done, thought can undo. So it's the idea of using the creative power in our mind to do something in our life. Once we discover the connection between what goes on inside and how that relates to what goes on outside, then we can use it, we can direct it in a more mindful way. That's the whole idea of it. Now, I have a video here today that I'm going to show you that illustrates how to use the power that dwells within us. Now, note in the video there is a book being mentioned, and it is written by Ernest Holmes, the book. So pay attention for that, and also note that this is a UPS advertisement. So enjoy.
This is Mr. Brown. He's the most remarkable man you've probably never heard of. He's changed the lives of millions of people, including mine. So today, we changed his. But before you know the end of the story, let's start from the beginning. When he was a little boy, he loved to read.
I read everything I could get my hands on. Newspapers and magazines from the garbage. We were poor. We didn't have money to buy all these books.
But there was one book in particular that changed his life.
My grandmother one day walked in and she said, I want you to read this book, Bobby. It was called It's Up to You. I probably read it 10 times, over the years, and it inspired me.
It put him on the path to helping people, from small-town cop to the FBI, and from civil rights leader all the way up to the White House. Mr. Brown has worked with people around the world fighting for what's right. His mission brought him to South Africa, where he discovered that thousands of books were banned during apartheid. It broke his heart.
I was appalled by that. Books and education mean everything, not just for the individual, but for our society. I started Booksmart, and then we started expanding the book project to schools across South Africa. The need is unbelievably great, but the resources are not there to keep it moving.
Hundreds of donated books turned into millions. And while he'd never asked for it, Mr. Brown needs help.
My wish for all these books is that we would be able to get to millions of young people who do not have a chance. We're giving them a chance at life. My God, what on earth? Oh my God. We can put a couple million more books in here. This is a complete makeover. I mean, I could never dream this could happen.
My name is Mpumi Nobiva. I am one of the many children Mr. Brown has helped.
Oh, girl.
I have something very special for you.
Oh, my goodness. Where'd you find this? This is it. This is the book. Dearest Mr. Brown, we wanted to grant your wish to continue sharing the power of books with the children of Africa. On behalf of all of them and all of your friends at UPS, thank you. All that's going to count in the end, as my grandmother said, is how much good did you do. If you want to do something with your life, it's all up to you.
Starting in February, we're going to have a 11-week course on Wednesday evenings, free to anybody, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And the title of it is, It's Up to You. Now, the book referenced in the video, this one, is Up to You, is out of print. It's no longer available. There is, however, a more recent book by the same title, still by Ernest Holmes, a collection of similar essays that we're going to be using for our 11-week class on Wednesdays, 7 p.m., all welcome, no registration needed. And in that class, I'll also make some copies of the public domain essays that from the original text to share with you as we go along in the course. Now, for the benefit of our radio listening audience, we've just watched a UPS ad, Wishes Delivered, which is about Mr. Brown, who founded Booksmart and had his warehouse organized by UPS so that he could deliver tons and tons of books to millions and millions of children. We watched that video as an illustration of how to use the science of mind, the power of creation in us to do good in the world. So here are some things I learned about how to use that power from watching the video. I noted that Mr. Brown did not know how it would all work out. And that did not stop him from getting started. He started with his vision to do good. And he believed in it, and he followed it. I also noted that he did not wait until he had everything that he needed or to be perfect. In fact, it looks like the task must have been, well, it must have appeared to be completely large, impossible, and overwhelming. Well, that didn't prevent him from using his mind to imagine a better future for millions of people. I also noted that Mr. Brown did not let good become the enemy of better. Do you know what I mean by that? When he walked in, the first thing he says is, we can add another 2 million books in here. Instantly, you see the shape of his consciousness, his mind, to expand beyond whatever good has already been delivered. Oh, there's something to pay attention to here. I also noted that Mr. Brown's role model, his grandmother, told him it's all about doing as much good as possible. Maybe because she knew that goodness is the key ingredient in using the creative power in our consciousness, and that it is goodness that draws everything to its own fulfillment. I also noted that she did not tell him to sit around and visualize getting rich, or to take care of himself first. And I noted that Mr. Brown summarized the whole of the Science of Mind teaching when he said, if you want to do something with your life, it's all up to you. And I would add to that, because there is a powerful good in the universe and you can use it. That's the key. Good, power for good. So when we use our consciousness, which is another word for our awareness or our mind, when we use it in a way that is consistent with its nature, goodness, that's when it works. That's when things fly. That's when it draws everything that it needs to fulfill itself. So then what is the true nature of our consciousness? Well, we've got to go below the surface. We've got to go beneath the chatter and the noise to find that. And Science of Mind would say it is a resistance-free peace. It is peace itself. It cannot be disturbed. It is inseparably one with everything, and it cannot be changed by outer circumstances. That. Now, how to use that? Well, I've got to get below the chatter to get to that place, and I can't think of a better way of getting below the chatter of my mind than to start to pay attention to the words that I use, both in spoken and both the words in my mind, because words or ideas come into form. And the silent words in our minds are as powerful as the ones we speak. So maybe we could say that our practice is to learn to tell ourselves what our hearts already know when I drop below the chatter into the truth. What does my heart already know when I drop everything else? That there is a resistance-free, undisturbed peace in me that is one with everything, and it cannot be disturbed. But I don't always go there when I'm talking to myself in my mind. Do you? No. I've had to learn to talk to myself in a better way, from that consciousness, when I'm stressed, when I don't know what to do, when I wish I could understand something that seems impossible to understand and it's bothering me and I'm obsessed with it, when I'm afraid. So now, through Science of Mind, I've learned to talk to myself from that presence within. I've learned to say to myself, there is a power in the universe greater than I am, and it is alive and well and active in me. I've learned to say to myself, there is an infinite intelligence in the universe, and in me it knows what to do and how to do it. I've learned to say to myself, this is a universe of oneness and connection, and I turn to it daily to refresh my own understanding of my connection with everything. I've learned to say to myself, I live, breathe, and move, and think, and have my being within the one infinite life, that one that I can never be apart from. And then I forget all of that in an instant, especially when I get grumpy, competitive, all the things that stress us out and disconnect us from what we know. Comparing, complaining, gossiping, miserabilizing, just like every one of us does from time to time. And now that I'm married, I have someone to take it out on. Kevin. Yeah. But he is so patient with me, because when I'm being grumpy or I'm opinionated and it's leaking out in my words, he'll say to me gently, that isn't how we talk to each other in this relationship. Now, what are you going to do with that? I mean, it's got a full stop, a period at the end of that sentence. You know, there it is. Because, you know, if I pause for a moment and think about it, it's true. When I'm being mean-spirited, I'm still using my mind to express something, and it's something that does not match the truth of what's in my heart below the chatter. Ooh. I'm using the creative power of the universe to spread around my messy consciousness. So I've learned from that. You know, I've learned, even when I'm talking to myself, that's an option. I could use better words. I could have a better attitude for a better result. So now, if I notice it's happening, when it's going on in my mind, you know, when it's dark and dank and unkind, I can interrupt it gently and say, you know, Edward, that isn't how you talk to yourself. Now, I don't have to be perfect about it. I just have to have the ability to notice and interrupt so that I can return to what my heart already knows, that there is a resistance-free, undisturbed peace in me that is one with everything and that cannot be disturbed. And then talk from that. That's what Science of Mind taught me. Talk from that, because words are powerful. Because behind the word is an idea, and behind the idea is the thinker, the place where we can choose. What will I bring forth? Idea is how we interact with the creative force by giving it direction. A colleague of mine recently reminded me about the power of words. She wrote, "As a child, when I was bullied and called names, my mother tried to give me strength by teaching me the old adage, 'Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.' It was useful for me to hang on to then, and it still comes in handy. The only problem is that it is not entirely true." Yeah. The words we use have a fundamental impact on us and on others. First, our words demonstrate what we really believe. Second, our words literally shape our experience as the narrative we tell becomes the filter through which we see the world. And finally, in some fundamental way, our words shape the very fabric of life itself by providing the mental equivalent in consciousness for the universal laws to use and shape reality. Now, she got all technical there at the end. But that word, mental equivalent, it means what we hold to be normal, what we've accepted. Oh, and if you want to learn more about mental equivalence, you sign up for Kathleen Kearney's class, Beyond Limits, because that's all about pressing back the boundaries of our normal so that we can have a greater experience of the good that is present in our life. And it starts this week, that class. Anyway, something I learned from Science of Mind about words also, I learned that, I learned not to accept other people's words as my truth. You know, like it says in Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements, we've got to be very careful. We've got to watch what poison we ingest and take into our system from other people. And at the same time, it would be unwise for me to simply dismiss words or to ignore the words I'm using or the words that are being used around me, because they do have the potential to help or to harm according to their nature. They have the potential to shape society. And if I let them become normal, then I've accepted them. Now they truly have power. Maybe a new form of the old adage should be, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but my words can help and heal me." Maybe I should say that. You know, our founder, Ernest Holmes, he was very clear about the power of words and how back behind the words is our thinking. And he said, the thinker condemns or justifies themselves through their thought. Or maybe another way of saying that is, we reveal ourselves by our thoughts and it comes out in our words. He was referring to something that Jesus of Nazareth taught about the power of words. Jesus was addressing at the time the hypocrisy of the leaders around him. See, they were using words to manipulate reality. They were saying things that weren't so. They were planting seeds of confusion and distrust among the people. Look, every time Jesus tried to do something good, the political leaders of the time became insecure, and so they manipulated the religious doctrine, the teaching of the time, to make him look bad for doing good. And they used words to do that. They used words to turn good into bad. Here's a paraphrase of what he said at the time. He said, our mouths speak what is in our hearts. A good person, out of the good treasure in their heart, brings forth goodness. And a malicious person brings forth what is in their heart through their words. And all of us are accountable for every word we speak. For, and here's the phrase that Ernest was quoting, for by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. It's just the law of logical progression. So now we come to it. Behind the word is the thought. Behind the thought is a thinker. The thinker is your ability to choose. That's where you're saying to yourself, so, what will I bring forth? And owning it. Words used by a person, words that are vulgar, racist, demeaning, show what kind of treasure is in their hearts. And also tells us what kind of world that person wishes to create. Now, whether those words happen in the silence of my mind, or are tweeted on Twitter, or said at a party, they're all using the same creative power, and they can be counted upon to shape our world. And the more we accept them as normal, the more they have the power to shape our society. In fact, that is the defining quality, accepted as normal. So when vulgar, racist, and demeaning words are made normal in our society, what is a student of science of mind to do? Here's what we do. Number one, notice, but do not accept them as normal. Instead, a student of science of mind notices and then returns to the truth of their being, that truth which is below the chatter of reaction and retaliation, below, and realizes that there is in me a resistance-free, undisturbed peace that is connected with everything and that cannot be disturbed by outer circumstances. And then the student speaks from that. In the Hindu faith, there is a list of virtues, the yamas and the niyamas. And one of these virtues is satya. It means so many things. Primarily, it means truth. It refers to the mindful restraining from falsehood. Don't you like that? The purposeful removing myself from falsehood. And it avoids distorting reality. It's considered to be a goal for how to live life. In my actions and in my thoughts and my word. Does it all match up? Does it line up? And speak from that. It's considered good and right to be virtuous, to be truthful, and to avoid untruths. And the root of the word, sat, very interesting word, because it means more than truth. Do you know it also refers to your true essence, my true essence? It refers to that elusive thing that we call your consciousness. It means your true self, and it also simultaneously means goodness and purity and positivity and life. It's describing you. What I get from this is that your true, good, pure, real self is considered necessary for order and balance and for things to run harmoniously in this world. Your true, good, pure, real self is necessary when it comes to governing nations, forming relationships, and raising children. Your good, true, pure self is expressed through your words, because behind your words are your thoughts, and behind the thoughts is the thinker, that within you which decides, what will I bring forth? You know, it makes me think of the old phrases, I give you my word. Or, I'll take your word for it. You have my word. And I'm thinking about that. What could that mean now in light of this? I give you my word. I think it means I'm sharing with you the treasure of the truth that is in my heart below the noise. I'll take your word on it. It means I'll take what you say as a sign of what treasure is alive in your heart, what you are. You have my word. I have given you the truth of my true self that is below all of the mind chatter. And why is it so important, all of this? Because words are the foundation of prayer, affirmative prayer. And how we use words in affirmative prayer is very important because they are connected to what is authentically in our heart. So we have to be real and true and transparent about it. And we are going to learn about that this year. So what is the treasure in your heart? Under the noise. Not what I want. Not what I fear. Not what I'm obsessed about. Not what my mind's chattering about. Beneath all of that, there is that within which is resistance-free, peace itself, cannot be disturbed, inseparably connected to everything, does not change as things around change. And I would say our task then is to get in sync with that and speak from that to bring forth into experience that which matches the truth of our being. Now I invite you to breathe in with me, to exhale as your eyes close. As we turn within to recognize the one universal presence that has no name and is all names, that is everywhere present, is as it always was and ever shall be, the eternal, the immortal, the creative genius of the universe. Turning within this way to salute it, we recognize it not only for being more than we can ever imagine, but also as our home, where we live, where we breathe, where we think and we pray, inside the mind of creation itself. So even as I speak this affirmative prayer in the first person, about myself and about anyone who accepts it, it becomes available instantly as a shift in consciousness as we identify with those words within the prayer that resonate as true. And because truth belongs to no person alone, its universal nature translates itself into every person according to their need and understanding and best idea. So for today, I am affirming that there is that within me, as it is within everyone here, a peace that passes understanding. It is not a remote idea distant to be reached for or acquired or attained. It is what is and always has been at the center and foundation of our being. I sense that within me, and I call it forth into expression to guide me and sustain me so that I can speak and act in the world in a way that matches the truth of my being. I abandon any allegiance to any chatter that causes me to think of retaliation, of rebuttal, of anything that distracts me from my place of power. I abandon and surrender any idea that spirituality is weakness, and I let myself land solidly in the truth of being, of oneness, and I believe in it, and I trust it, and I speak from it, and I expect it to deliver the result that is in harmony with its true nature. Now, even as I speak this word, I give thanks for it. I feel moved by the remembering of that which is alive in me. And I release this word into that aspect of the divine that we call the law, because it responds to us in a lawful, predictable way. And it sets me free to go about my work, knowing that on the unseen side of life, I am recalibrated, realigned to the truth. And together we say, and so it is. I invite you to breathe in with me and to sigh.